She stared at me while I showered alien curiosity or something more. Asterisk the unexpected encounter. Jake Martinez had been working alone on the research station Meridian 7 for 3 months now. The isolation of deep space had become his companion, along with the endless hum of life support systems and the Alta systems and the occasional crackle of communications from Earth. Tonight felt different, though. After spending 14 hours analyzing mineral samples from the nearby asteroid belt, all he wanted was a hot shower and some peace. The shower compartment was his sanctuary, a small space where he could forget about the vastness of space surrounding him. Steam filled the enclosed area as hot water cascaded over his tired shoulders. He closed his eyes, letting the warmth wash away the stress of another long day. The silence was perfect, broken only by the gentle sound of water hitting the metal. Then he heard it. A soft sound almost like breathing, but not quite human. His eyes snapped open, and his heart nearly stopped. There, standing just outside the shower's glass partition, was a figure he had never seen before. She was tall, graceful, with skin that seemed to shimmer with a pale silver luminescence. Her eyes were large and curious, watching him with an intensity that made him freeze. Jake's mind raced. How had she gotten aboard? The station's security systems were state-of-the-art, designed to detect any unauthorized presence. Yet here she was, as if she had materialized from thin air. Her features were delicate, but unmistakably alien, with high cheekbones and eyes that held depths he couldn't fathom. He quickly grabbed a towel, wrapping it around himself while trying to maintain some dignity. "Who are you?" he called out, his voice echoing in the small space. "How did you get here?" The alien woman tilted her head slightly, her expression remaining calm and curious. She didn't respond with words, but her lips curved into what might have been a smile. There was something in her gaze that wasn't threatening, more like genuine fascination. She stepped closer to the glass, her movements fluid and graceful. Jake's initial panic began to subside, replaced by confusion and an odd sense of wonder. She was beautiful in a way that transcended human understanding of beauty. Her hair fell in waves that seemed to catch and reflect light that wasn't there, and her skin had an otherworldly glow that made her appear almost ethereal. "I'm not going to hurt you," she said suddenly, her voice melodic and strangely soothing. The words were perfectly clear, spoken in flawless English that surprised him. "I've been watching your kind for some time. You interest me." "Watching us?" Jake's voice cracked slightly. "From where? Who are you?" She pressed her palm against the glass partition, and Jake noticed her fingers were longer than human fingers, ending in what looked like small, pearl-like tips. "My name is Zara. I come from a place your people call the Veil Nebula. We've been observing your species' expansion into space." Jake stared at her, trying to process what he was hearing. First contact with an alien species, and it was happening while he was in a shower. The absurdity of the situation wasn't lost on him, but there was something about Zara that made him feel oddly at ease. "Why are you here?" he asked, stepping closer to the glass. "Why reveal yourself to me?" Zara's eyes seemed to sparkle with amusement. "Because you're different from the others I've observed. There's something about your mind, your spirit, that calls to me. I had to know more." The water was still running, creating a curtain of steam between them, but Jake could see her clearly. There was an intelligence in her eyes that spoke of advanced civilization, yet also a curiosity that seemed almost childlike. She was studying him the way a scientist might study a fascinating new specimen, but there was something more personal in her gaze. "I should report this," Jake said, though he made no move to reach for the communication panel. "But you won't," Zara replied with certainty. "Because you're as curious about me as I am about you." She was right, and they both knew it. Breaking the barriers the next morning, Jake found himself questioning whether the encounter had been real. He had searched the entire station after Zara disappeared, finding no trace of her presence. The security log showed nothing unusual, and all systems reported normal operation. Yet he couldn't shake the memory of those luminous eyes and that otherworldly voice. He was analyzing data in the main lab when she appeared again. This time, she didn't startle him. It was as if he had been expecting a return, though he couldn't explain why. Zara materialized near the observation deck, her form seeming to shimmer into existence, like a mirage becoming solid. "You came back," Jake said, setting down his tablet. "I told you I was curious," Zara replied, moving closer. In the better lighting of the lab, he could see more details about her appearance. She wore what looked like a form-fitting garment that seemed to be made of the same shimmering material as her skin. Her movements were impossibly graceful, as if she was floating rather than walking. "How do you do that? The appearing and disappearing?" Jake asked. Zara smiled, and the expression transformed her entire face. "Our people have learned to manipulate the barriers between dimensions. What you see is solid matter. We understand as malleable energy. It allows us to travel great distances and pass through what you would consider obstacles." Jake's scientific mind was fascinated. "That's incredible. The implications for space travel alone. Your species will discover these things in time," Zara said. "But that's not why I'm here. I want to understand you, Jake Martinez. Your thoughts, your feelings, your dreams." The fact that she knew his name should have alarmed him, but instead it felt natural. "What do you want to know?" Over the next several hours, they talked. Zara was endlessly curious about human emotions, about the way humans formed connections with each other. She asked about his childhood on Earth, about the relationships he had left behind to pursue his career in space exploration. Jake found himself opening up to her in ways he never had with anyone else. "You left someone behind," Zara observed, her eyes studying his face intently. Jake nodded. "Her name was Jennifer. She wanted me to stay on Earth, to take a safer job. She said I was choosing space over her." "Were you?" The question hung in the air between them. Jake had never really examined his motivations that closely. "Maybe. I've always felt like I belonged out here, among the stars. Earth felt too small, too limited." Zara moved closer, close enough that he could see tiny flecks of gold in her silver eyes. "And now? Do you still feel that way?" "I don't know," Jake admitted. "Everything feels different since you arrived." There was something in the way she looked at him that made his heart race. It wasn't just alien curiosity anymore. There was a warmth there, a connection that seemed to transcend the vast differences between their species. "My people don't experience emotions the way yours do," Zara said softly. "We understand them intellectually, but we don't feel them. At least, we didn't until now." "What do you mean?" "Being near you, observing you, has awakened something in me that I don't understand. My heart rate increases when I see you. My thoughts become scattered when you smile. Is this what you call attraction?" Jake's breath caught. The idea that this beautiful, otherworldly being could feel something for him seemed impossible, yet the sincerity in her voice was undeniable. "It could be," he said carefully, "but attraction between different species, it's not something that usually works out well in the stories." Zara laughed, a sound like silver bells. "Perhaps the stories are wrong. Perhaps connection transcends physical form." She reached out and touched his hand, and Jake felt a jolt of electricity run through him. Her skin was warm and soft, more human than he had expected. In that moment, the barriers between their worlds seemed to dissolve, leaving only two beings drawn to each other by something neither fully understood. The deepening connection days passed in a blur of discovery and growing intimacy. Zara would appear at different times, sometimes while Jake was working, sometimes while he was eating or trying to sleep. Each encounter deepened their connection, as if invisible threads were being woven between their very souls. Jake learned that Zara's people, the Velari, were an ancient race that had achieved technological advancement far beyond human comprehension. They had transcended many physical limitations, but in doing so, had lost something essential. The raw emotion, the passionate connections that humans took for granted, had been bred out of them through millennia of evolution. We thought emotions were primitive, Zara explained one evening as they sat together on the observation deck, watching the stars wheel by. We believed that logic and reason were superior to feeling and intuition. But observing your species has shown us what we've lost. Jake watched her profile as she spoke, noting the way starlight caught in her hair. And what have you lost? The ability to truly live, she said simply. We exist, we learn, we advance, but we don't experience joy or sorrow or love the way you do. We're like ghosts, passing through existence without truly touching it. But you're touching it now, Jake said, reaching out to take her hand. You're touching me. Zara turned to look at him, her eyes reflecting the distant stars. Yes, and it's terrifying and wonderful at the same time. I don't know how to process these feelings. My people would consider me contaminated, changed by contact with a primitive species. Is that what you think? That we're primitive? I thought so once, Zara admitted. But now I see that what we call primitive, you call human. And perhaps being human is the highest form of existence after all. Their conversations grew more intimate, more personal. Zara shared stories of her world, of cities that floated in the clouds of gas giants, of beings who could live for thousands of years, but had forgotten how to feel wonder. Jake told her about Earth, about the beauty of a sunset over the ocean, about the way humans could find hope in the darkest circumstances. I want to show you something, Zara said one night. She placed her hand on Jake's forehead, and suddenly his mind was filled with images. He saw her world through her eyes, vast and beautiful, but somehow cold. He felt her loneliness, centuries of existence without genuine connection. When the vision ended, Jake found tears on his cheeks. Zara, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Don't pity me, she said firmly. You've given me something I never knew I needed. You've shown me what it means to feel alive. Jake cupped her face in his hands, marveling at how real she felt, how warm. You've done the same for me. I thought I was content with solitude, but you've shown me what I was really missing. What happens now? Zara asked, her voice barely. A whisper. I don't know, Jake admitted. But I know I don't want to lose you. Zara leaned closer, and Jake could feel her breath on his face. My people will come looking for me eventually. They won't understand what has happened to me. Then we'll face it together, Jake said. Whatever comes, we'll face it together. When Zara kissed him, it was like touching starlight. Her lips were soft and warm, and Jake felt as if he was drowning in sensation. This was more than attraction, more than curiosity. This was love, impossible and beautiful, and terrifying all at once. I love you, Zara whispered against his lips. I don't fully understand what that means, but I know it's true. I love you, too, Jake replied, and meant it with every fiber of his being. They held each other as the stars continued their eternal dance outside the observation deck. Two beings from different worlds who had found something precious in each other. Neither knew what the future would bring, but in that moment, it didn't matter. They had found connection across the vast emptiness of space, and that was enough. The test of worlds 3 weeks after their first encounter. Jake's peaceful existence was shattered by an incoming transmission. The communication array lit up with signals he had never seen before. Patterns of light and sound that seemed to pulse with alien intelligence. Zara materialized beside him immediately, her expression grave. They've found me. she said simply. Jake's heart sank. Your people? The Velari Council. They've been tracking my energy signature. Zara's skin seemed to lose some of its luminescence, as if fear was dimming her inner light. They know I've been here too long, that I've changed. The transmission resolved into a view screen display, showing 3 figures that shared Zara's general appearance, but seemed somehow colder, more austere. They spoke in a language that sounded like wind chimes and distant thunder, but Jake could understand them perfectly. He realized Zara was translating for him telepathically. Zara of the 7th Conclave, the center figure spoke, its voice devoid of emotion. You have violated the primary directive of observation. You have made contact with the primitive species and allowed yourself to be contaminated by their emotional responses. I have not been contaminated, Zara replied, her voice steady, but Jake could sense her tension. I have been awakened. Awakened to what? To the chaos of uncontrolled feeling? To the weakness that has held this species back from true advancement? The alien's words dripped with disdain. You will return immediately for reconditioning. No, Zara said firmly. I will not abandon what I have found here. Jake stepped forward, though he felt like an ant addressing giants. What gives you the right to judge us? What makes your way of life superior to ours? The 3 Velari turned their attention to him, and Jake felt the weight of their gaze like a physical force. You are the one, the center figure said. The human who has corrupted our observer. You will be eliminated to prevent further contamination. Wait. Zara stepped between them, her form blazing with renewed light. If you truly believe your way is superior, then prove it. Give me a choice. Explain, the second figure demanded. 1 full cycle of your world's rotation, Zara said. 24 hours in human time. Let me show you both ways of existence. Let Jake show you what human emotion and connection can accomplish, and you show him the power of pure logic and reason. Then I will choose freely. Jake started to protest, but Zara silenced him with a look. The Velari Council conferred in their chiming language for several minutes before the center figure spoke again. Very well. But know this, if you choose to. Remain with the human. You will be cut off from the Velari forever. You will become truly alien to your own people. I understand, Zara said. The transmission ended, leaving Jake and Zara alone in the suddenly quiet station. Jake pulled her into his arms, feeling her trembling against him. Why did you do that? He asked. You could have just left with them. Because I can't leave you, Zara said, looking up at him with eyes that held a new depth of feeling. But I also can't ask you to make this choice blindly. You need to understand what you're asking me to give up. Over the next several hours, Zara showed Jake glimpses of Velari society. He saw their incredible achievements. Cities that spanned solar systems. Technology that could reshape matter at the molecular level. Minds that could process information at the speed of light. It was impressive, overwhelming, and utterly cold. There. Not wrong about the advantages, Zara said, as they watched a virtual display of a Velari research facility. We've eliminated war, disease, aging, death itself. We've achieved what your species would call perfection. But at what cost? Jake asked, noting the empty expressions on the faces of the Velari they observed. What's the point of living forever if you're not really alive? That's what I'm trying to understand, Zara said. Is what we have worth giving up all of that? Jake took her hands in his, feeling the warmth and reality of her touch. I can't make that choice for you, Zara, but I can tell you that what we have, this connection, this love, it's worth more to me than all the technological advancement in the universe. Even if it means I might not live as long, even if it means I'll be vulnerable to pain and loss. Especially then, Jake said, because that's what makes life precious. The fact that it's finite, that it can be lost, that it can hurt, that's What makes the good moments matter? Zara leaned into him, and Jake could feel her making her decision. Tomorrow, when they return, I'll be ready to choose. And if you choose them, then I'll spend eternity remembering what it felt like to be truly alive, even if I can no longer feel it. They spent the night holding each other, two beings from different worlds facing an impossible choice, but finding strength in their connection, not the choice of hearts. The next morning arrived with the return of the Valari Council. Their ship appeared. Outside the station without warning, a crystalline structure that seemed to bend light around itself. Jake and Zara stood together on the observation deck, watching as the three council members materialized in the room. The time has come, the center figure announced. Present your arguments for this primitive way of existence. Jake stepped forward, his heart pounding, but his voice steady. You call us primitive because we feel emotion, because we form connections that make us vulnerable. But you're wrong about what that means. He gestured toward the stars outside. Every one of those stars represents a sun that will eventually die. Every planet will eventually be consumed or drift cold through space. If your logic is correct, if efficiency and longevity are all that matter, then existence itself is pointless, because it will all end anyway. The second council member spoke. Precisely why we have transcended such limitations. We have achieved functional immortality. But immortality without purpose is just extended suffering, Jake continued. Humans create meaning through our connections to each other. We find purpose in love, in sacrifice, in the willingness to risk everything for something greater than ourselves. And what has this achieved for your species? The third council member asked. War, suffering, destruction of your own planet? Yes, Jake admitted. But also art, music, literature, acts of incredible heroism and selflessness. We've created beauty in the face of mortality. We've found ways to transcend our physical limitations through the power of connection. Zara stepped forward, her form shimmering with emotion. I have experienced what Jake speaks of. For the first time in my existence, I have felt truly alive. I have discovered that feeling pain makes joy more precious, that facing loss makes love more meaningful. You have been corrupted, the center figure stated flatly. These emotions cloud judgment, lead to irrational decisions. No, Zara said firmly. They lead to choices made with the heart as well as the mind. Let me show you. She moved to the station's communication array and began transmitting a message to Earth. Jake taught me about human music, about how they use art to express the inexpressible. Listen. The speakers filled with the sound of a human symphony, a piece that spoke of love and loss, triumph and tragedy. Jake watched as the council members' expressions shifted almost imperceptibly. For just a moment, something flickered in their eyes, a ghost of feeling they had thought long dead. This is what we've lost, Zara said softly. The ability to create. Beauty not for function or efficiency, but for the pure joy of creation. The ability to touch another soul across the void of space with nothing but organized sound. The center figure straightened, its composure returning. Enough? You have made your choice clear. If you remain with this human, you will be severed. From the Valare consciousness. You will age, you will die, you will suffer all the limitations of organic existence. I understand, Zara said, moving to stand beside Jake. And I choose to stay. Jake felt his heart soar and break at the same time. He was gaining the love of his life, but she was losing everything she had ever known. There is one more thing. The center figure said, its voice carrying a note Jake hadn't heard before. Your demonstration has affected us in ways we did not expect. The Council will be conducting a review of our policies regarding emotional experience. What does that mean? Jake asked. It means, the second Council member said, that perhaps we have been too hasty in our rejection of feeling. Perhaps there is value in what you call the human experience. The third council member stepped forward. Zara of the Seventh Conclave, you will be allowed to maintain limited contact with the Valari consciousness. Should you choose to return at any time, you will be welcomed back. Zara's eyes widened in surprise. I don't understand. You have done something none of us thought possible, the center figure explained. You have shown us that advancement and emotion need not be mutually exclusive. Perhaps it is time for the Valari to learn from humanity as well. As the council members began to fade, the center figure spoke one last time. Take care of each other. What you have is rarer than you. No. When they were alone again, Jake pulled Zara into his arms, spinning her around the observation deck. You did it, he said. You chose love over logic. I chose both, Zara corrected, kissing him deeply. I chose a life where I can feel everything, the joy and the pain, the triumph and the loss. I chose to be truly alive. Jake looked out at the stars, no longer feeling alone in the vast universe. What happens now? Now we explore, Zara said, her eyes bright with possibility. We learn from each other, we grow together, and we show both our peoples that love is the greatest force in the universe. As their lips met again, Jake realized that he had been wrong about one thing. He hadn't been alone in space before Zara arrived. He had been incomplete. Now, with her beside him, he felt whole for the first time in his life. The stars continued their eternal dance outside the observation deck, but now they danced for two souls who had found each other across the impossible gulf of space, proving that love truly was the universal language.